Hey, good morning. Welcome into the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview. JohnstonRVCenter.com brings you the show. JohnstonRVCenter.com. He is Jim Dunaway. I am Ryan Brown. We welcome you live here. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Everybody's fired up for a college football Saturday. Alabama with a bye week, Auburn with a game against Arkansas, the cocktail party, Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio State, Penn State. Look, Dunaway, it's not a day that has, primo games, but I do think we got some exciting games today.
Oh, there's something in the air though, Brownie. This is the weeks
Uh-oh.
where you what? No
We got
audio
a
from me?
no. I hear you. I'm saying we got a something in the air week. I like that.
Oh yeah. We got a something in the air week. I mean, there's something about TCU at West Virginia. To me, there's something about Oregon and Cal. I think Oregon wins the game, but Cal can make that ugly. I'm not sure TCU will get out of West Virginia today. It would be a massive loss for TCU, but I think West Virginia has a shot today. Kansas State, depending on the health of Adrian Martinez, could derail Oklahoma State's hopes of trying to get there. I think Nebraska can, keep Illinois possibly from walking their way into the Big Ten championship game. Kentucky and Tennessee could be interesting at some point if Kentucky can stay in it early. That could be an interesting game. I think the fireworks around Ole Miss and Texas A&M and what's going on there makes for a good storyline. Auburn and Arkansas has a backdrop where Auburn's owned Arkansas.
Right.
So there's a couple of, I don't think the two biggest ones, Ohio State and Penn State and Georgia and Florida, will be very competitive. But there's always a sleepy weekend that usually rattles the cages on the path to the college football playoffs. And how many times has it always been the week before the first college football playoff rankings come out, and that's next week?
Yeah, we get that week where we never see it coming, and this could be the week where we never see it coming.
But of course, if we're sitting here saying we never see it coming, this could be the week we never see it coming. We really never see it coming, so maybe it's not that week.
Don't get stuck in those things, Dunaway. Those could drive you crazy when you start trying to think that way. All right, Lance is going to join us here in 1 second. Real quick, before Lance joins us, JohnstonRVCenter.com. JohnstonRVCenter.com brings you the show. Thank you to them. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online at JohnstonRVCenter.com. Also, thank you to Champy's world famous fried chicken. Great for your tailgating. If you're headed to Auburn, you've already made that choice, but make sure in the future you use Champy's world famous fried chicken or your viewing parties. It's great there as well. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. If you have done so, please give us a thumbs up there on YouTube. Make sure you've subscribed. Set your alerts so you always know when we're live, because the post-game show this week is going to float. We just don't know when we're going to do it. Depends on kind of what happens in action today.
Could be 2, could be 6, could be 9
Never
o'clock.
know.
Good morning to you, Chad. While you bring Lance in, I'll say hi to people. Hey, Chad.
All right, say hello to people, Jim.
Hey, Fly. Hey, Jake. Welcome in, man. Kevin, thanks for being with us. Brett, of course, up and rolling today. There's Colton, who's with us this morning. Don, thanks for checking in. Richard D, Big D in the house. Bob, good morning. NAAU fan. Let's go, man. Charlie's in the house. Ready to go. What could be? And Charlie brings up a great point. He hasn't yet, but I'm sure he will. Michigan could be a fun game today, too, even though Michigan's a much better football team. Just the state of that rivalry. And Mel Tucker has, I think I'm right about this, I don't think he's lost yet to Michigan.
That is correct. And a lot of people said, get ready, it's coming. That's what I saw on game day today. They pointed that out, that Mel Tucker's 2-0, and I think Reese said you better enjoy that while you can.
Yeah,
LT is with it, huh?
I'll tell you, they showed some highlights of some of the Michigan State wins and the officiating in that game, and some of the Michigan's, other than the block punt game, some of the flags and calls that Michigan State got in some of the big upsets throughout the history of that rivalry. There were some, I don't know if the officiating crew actually came from East Lansing, but there was some heavy green in some of those calls for sure.
I had forgotten the 0-1 game where they ruled that he spiked it with a second to go. I don't know if you saw that this morning. Yeah, that was a terrible call. I mean, you want to talk about home cooking. My gosh.
Yeah, for Mississippi's, that may have been the game that sort of made major conferences go to having a game official run the clock from the field. I think they came up with that technology because of that game.
All right, LT is with us now, and Ladybird barking at something. What is it, a squirrel, Lance? We got a squirrel loose?
No, it's I think it's a neighbor. Hey, literally, you guys remember yesterday when somebody said leaves are falling, it's a good day to blow leaves all day?
Yep.
I got home, and for 4 consecutive hours, The leaves were blown. I'm not exaggerating.
It's a work now. He's working you now, Lance. He knows he's in on it.
Well, it's two. It's the side by side behind me right here.
Yeah, they're
so I
in
figured
on it.
I'd come out here today because the acoustics are so well that maybe I can wake them up talking to you guys.
Yeah, I think you got to be safe. They're not going to be blowing leaves today. If they did it for 4 hours yesterday, there's nothing left.
No, but it was actually more than that. So when I was like, oh my God, they've been blowing leaves when roommate got home. She was like, they started a few hours before you got here. So it was literally like an all day thing, but whatever.
Hilarious. Before we get going on the games today, there are a couple things I want to do. By the way, I mentioned on YouTube. Also, if you're watching us on Twitter, please make sure you retweet this and give us a thumbs up. Share us on Facebook, like us there as well, and on Twitch. I want to start by paying tribute to the great Vince Dooley, who passed yesterday. Dunaway, you were one of the first people to make this point that I heard. Had he come along at any different time in SEC football, he might be viewed a little bit differently. He had great runs at Georgia, but he just so happened to be going against Bear Bryant at Alabama. It was just a tough time in the SEC.
That's right. I mean, he had success against Bear Bryant. They just didn't play each other a lot. The way it was set up back then, there was no SEC championship game. There was no divisions. And for whatever reason, you didn't get a lot of Alabama and Georgia football games. I remember the last game I watched with my grandfather, who was probably, he died when I was 13, maybe 11, 12, somewhere around there. I was preteen, and he died of prostate cancer and some cancer that spread from his prostate. But they had told me he was about to get better. We were in the hospital at Shelby Memorial, and Alabama was playing Georgia in Athens that day. It was a rare meeting back then, but it was Vince Dooley and Bear Bryant, and Georgia won the game. They won it pretty handily, if I remember correctly. And that was the last game I watched with my granddad, and I think he died the very next day. And I was a little upset at Vince Dooley at that moment, to be honest with you, that he stole that moment from my granddad and me, being big Bama people. But as I got older, appreciated what Vince did. I cheered for him to win the national championship in 1980 to keep that SEC streak going on. But he was the young coach in the 60s when Bear Bryant had already won a handful of national championships. And then he was the other side of the coin when Alabama wasn't doing it in the 70s. It was Vince Dooley's Georgia teams that were really, really good. And then, of course, he carried that into the 80s with Pat Dye, an Auburn guy where he played football. And, Pat Dye was a Georgia guy, and you always wondered why they weren't flipping scripts and coaching at each other's school. But he stayed true to Georgia all those years for giving him a chance. And I will tell you, and I tweeted this last night, he is a cornerstone of what makes the SEC what it is today. Brown, I know you remember this, but a lot of our younger listeners will not remember this. It was Vince Dooley as athletic director at Georgia that basically broke up the NCAA's hold over the television rights for broadcasting. He was one of the leaders as the athletic director and the power of a Southern school like Georgia that fought and got the rights basically for the schools and the conferences to negotiate television rights, or we would still probably be in the day and age where we only had one game, sometimes two games on one network. And because of what Vince Dooley and some of his athletic director friends did back in the day, we were able to negotiate our own television contracts, spread this out to where we have 8 games on at one time and not just 2 games. There was a limitation at one point in history. You could have no more than 2 games a year or 5 within 2 years, something like that. And it was stupid that you could have like Notre Dame playing somebody and that game not be on television anywhere in America. But that's the way it used to be until Vince Dooley and some of his colleagues changed that in the 80s. And I'm always appreciative of that.
LT, he died having seen Georgia win 20 of the last 21 and a national championship. So the man loved him some Georgia, obviously. So he had to be happy on his way out.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that it was 40 years, or was it 40 or 41 years?
41.
41.
From national championship to national championship. And the last national champion he saw was his Georgia Bulldogs, which is pretty awesome. I mean, 90 years old. I mean, that's a good run.
It's a good run, man. Good run. He did a lot. Class guy, too. I think everybody like Vince Dooley. I'm like you, Dunaway. When I was a kid growing up, I always thought it was weird that the Georgia coach played at Auburn and the Auburn coach played at Georgia because they're such heated rivals. And I'm like, that's just weird to me. Why don't they just, as a kid, you don't think this is that big a deal, right? But as a kid, I remember thinking, why don't they just switch coaches? They're both good coaches, right?
And here's what I would ask you guys. After they're done coaching, do you go back and pull for your alma mater? And I had this weird thought the other day. Who is Bo Nix going to pull for with his kids when he's watching football? Seriously.
No, come on. Are you kidding me? He'll be an Auburn guy.
No. But Lance is right. I mean, let's say Bo wins a Pac-12 championship at Oregon this year.
And they go to a college football playoff. In his best college memories, he's a Heisman finalist.
Yeah. They'll bring him back. Yeah. They'll bring him back and celebrate him in Eugene for years.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt they'll bring him back and celebrate him for years and years. But I mean, he basically is a hired gun right there. I mean, he grew. The reason he was so under such pressure at Auburn is because he loved Auburn so much. He loved them from birth. His dad played there. His mom cheered there. And he's an Auburn guy. And the only reason he's not there is because it wasn't working. He went to do 1 year, maybe 2 years of college. He went out there to Oregon to be around better players, better coaching, a better situation for him. It was totally a Bo move. He deserves it, I think. But he'll go back to being an Auburn guy when it's said and done. He'll be beloved by Oregon if he wins a championship. They may retire his jersey or whatever. If he wins the Heisman, they'll put a statue up. But he'll always be an Auburn guy.
You can divorce a team. It's like a real relationship. I mean, I did it back in the day. I really did.
I'm with Lance.
You did, but you didn't grow up for one team and then played there. I mean, playing there makes a difference.
Yeah, but his playing there, and Brown, I'll let you jump in here. His playing there was so scrutinized. It was so uneven. There was so much drama. I don't know how much enjoyment he had.
Oh, he didn't have any at the point. He did not have any. And he said this week that he had. It got to where it was no fun at Auburn. He said that in an interview with Dennis Dodd this week. It was no fun at Auburn. He's having fun now. He's got freedom to call plays. He's having success. All that's happening because he's got no pressure on him because he's not having to do it for his school. They scrutinize the hell out of him. And that's why it's so hard. We debated on our show. It's so hard to go back and be the coach at your school. Like Kirby Smart bit off a lot when he went back because you go back to your school and you fail, then you're Mike Shula. I mean, when do you see Mike Shula in Tuscaloosa ever? Ever. Never anymore. You never see
That's right. I think that's Lance's point.
Yeah.
It comes back to Tuscaloosa.
I'll just be interested to see. I mean, Bo just made such a smooth transition, and obviously he's playing his best football ever. And I think it'll be really interesting. Here's another thing. I mean, Bo's been playing college football forever. With the COVID year, does he still have another year?
He's got 1 year. He's got 1 year.
He's got another one after this.
Yeah, he's got 1 year left because he's a 3-year starter at Auburn, started his freshman year, playing this year, and he's got a COVID year. Yeah.
And if you're Bo Nix, you got a legit shot at the Heisman next year. I don't know that he does this year. Maybe he does. I mean, the year's still yet to be over, but and I'd have to look at their schedule. I don't know if they open with a Georgia-like team.
I never thought I would say this. But watching him this year, I think he could be on an NFL roster. Never a starting quarterback, but I think he can be on an NFL roster. So I think it would be important for him. Yeah, I say his stock might be at an all-time high at the end of this year, but I think it would be really interesting if he came back next year.
Yeah, I don't know. We may see that. All right, y'all ready to talk about some games today? That's no. The one other thing I was going to cover, I said I was going to cover two things. We got completely hijacked there, as we frequently do. It's normally my fault. Lance yesterday, Dunaway, you'll remember this as we were in the studio. I'm gonna do a behind the scenes here. Lance in the studio yesterday said, "Hey, is it crazy that I'm going to give out the Phillies tonight?" And
I remember him saying that. He was the lock, and I remember saying to him, if they've got a chance to win it, it's the first one. And they were down 5-0 against Verlander. He and I were texting after that game. It was an amazing baseball game. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to our friend Charlie Vitella, and I see him in the chat, a big Detroit Tigers fan. And he asked me, he was like, is it because of Verlander's history in the World Series? And I was like, yeah, that has a lot to do with it. And game one, Houston's never won a game one in the World Series for whatever reason. And Aaron Nola had pitched so well, but then Aaron Nola gets touched up. And I was like, man, you know, at 5-0, they showed the graphic. I forgot what the stat was for teams that have had a 5+ run lead in World Series. I mean, they were unbeatable. And for the Phillies to be able to come back on the road like that, I mean, and you sent me the text last night, Dunaway, the Phillies bullpen was lights out.
Yeah, and credit to them, but credit to their manager, whose name I don't know. He only got the job as an interim, I guess.
Thompson, I believe it's Rob Thompson.
Because they fired their coach early because they were sucking so bad. But he was brilliant, right? He made the change. Was it in the 5th or the 6th to go to their best left-handed pitch string of lefties they had there, including Kyle Tucker, who was just lights out last night. And so they made the change there, and that was a big point in the game. He said, we'd fought back, and it was 5-5. I did not want to lose the momentum, and with their lefties coming up, I put my best bullpen guy out there in the 5th or 6th, whenever it was. And then they had 4 pitchers set up where they could go 6, 7, 8, 9. And they ended up using one more in the former Alabama pitcher, David Robertson. And he pitched it perfectly last night, including using his game 3 starter to get those 2 left-handers out again. And, you know, and I know Smoltz, some people may like him or dislike him as a broadcaster. He gives you great baseball insight. He says, now this is a side throwing day for the game 3 starters. But don't misunderstand me when I tell you that pitching in a game and throwing in the side is totally different with the adrenaline, the amount you push your arms. There's a difference between throwing in the side and throwing in the game. But he'll be able to come back and do his job again in game 3 if he only goes for this brief period of time. And they used him last night. He got the guys out he needed to get out. I just thought it was a brilliantly played and brilliantly coached game. It was almost over, LT. The guy they don't want the ball hit to in right field, Castellanos, apparently.
What a grab too.
And it's a blooper, and he has to come in and make a sliding catch that big goofy guys like him all the time never make that catch. He makes the catch or the game's over with, and they win it in extra innings. And then I don't know how many cameras Fox has for this thing. They show, coming back from the commercial break, they show Schwarber moving Castellanos up in right field, saying, man, come in further. Schwarber's in, a different position. He said, you got to come in. So if it bloops in front of you, you can throw the guy, have a chance at throwing the guy at the plate. And if he had not moved him in 4 or 5 steps, he never gets to that blooper and the game's over with. It was just everything the Phillies did after they were down 5-0 was a game of inches, but it was perfect. It was such a well-played game.
And I'll tell you, the Astros are playing such good baseball going into that game. And obviously for the first 5 innings, they were great. But without that win last night, I think this is one of those boring World Series. But I think now that the Phillies got that one, and going back to Philadelphia for game 3, that crowd will be amazing. So I think we've got a pretty good World Series in front of us. And the final point I'll make, Brown, your man Bryce Harper is a complete stud. We tend to forget about him, but he is still one of the 5 best baseball players on the planet. He's incredible.
Yeah. There's a reason he's getting paid that money.
One other note on that Phillies Astros, and I agree with you, LT. If the Astros win, the series probably goes in 4. Now it's 1-0, and then they'll go back to Philly. It'll be insane. You heard Buster talking about he was afraid to set the over/under on the number of brawls that will happen between Philly fans and Houston fans, and there were a ton of Philly fans there last night. Castellanos in the post-game interview said exactly the same thing we all think. Postseason baseball is so good, and the regular season sucks so bad. And they asked him afterwards, people question your glove, your defense. How were you able to make that play? And he, stumbled around for a couple of seconds, and then he says, well, in the regular season, it's hard for me to concentrate at every at bat. The regular season seems to lag on, and I don't get good jumps. Sometimes I'm not engaged to where I'm supposed to be. I don't make good plays. But in postseason, you're engaged on every pitch, and I was able to make that play. I just get disinterested, basically, is what he was saying, at points during the regular season. And really, that's the way all of us baseball fans are, too. I mean, the regular season is not the same game you watched last night. Last night, is amazing. You can't replicate that for 162 games.
All right, it is the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview. Let's do college football now for the rest of the show, and we'll get to all the games. Don't forget to head to Johnston RV Center. They're closing out the 22s to make room for the 23s, and you get to save because of that great deals there at Johnston RV Center. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. Also, Champy's world famous fried chicken in Alabaster, just off 119, bringing you the show today. Mississippi Delta tamales, great chicken fingers, po' boys, desserts, sides, all right there at Champy's. Great for your college football Saturday. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you've liked the video and also have subscribed and set your alerts so you know when we're live. Post-game show coming up later today. You'll need your alerts to know when we're there, or follow us on social media at Next Round Live. If you're watching us on Facebook, share this, please. Give us a thumbs up there as well. Retweet us on Twitter. Hardest there. Give us a like there and on Twitch. Also, don't forget to go to the Next Round store. The golf cards are selling fast. I got an update earlier. We've got a very limited number of those left. So if you've been on the fence about the golf card, you need to hustle. Those will be gone very soon. $99 gets you 5 courses, 18 holes in green fee, and it's a value of about $270. You can also get the deluxe card, which includes this is not the shirt, but an exclusive Next Round golf T-shirt, plus a koozie and some tees, all right there. And check out our fall collection while you're there at nextround.store. That's nextround.store. You get the golf card and the fall collection. All right, let's get to the games. I want to start in the 11 o'clock window as we always do. The most interesting game there, we're kind of split on this one. TCU is at West Virginia. ESPN, 11 o'clock, straight out of game day. TCU minus 7.5. Dunaway. They are skating on thin ice, TCU is. It is a close game every week for them.
It feels like it. I mean, Neil Brown's got a $20 million buyout coming if they fire him. It's hard to imagine West Virginia and their conference has that kind of money, but it's a much needed win by Neil Brown. He's never lost to TCU. Morgantown's a tough place to play, and you just figure that TCU at some point playing these close games, LT is going to lose one. There's some, I don't know what you're playing at Lance's Lock Dog. Use the promo code Jim to find out Lance is playing. But for some reason, I like West Virginia inside the number today, and maybe even to pull the outright upset.
I think it will be a tough game for TCU. I mean, emotionally, how can they continue to get up for these games? The problem is, West Virginia, they've allowed 15 passing touchdowns, which is the most in the Big 12. And you look at Max Duggan and what he's been able to do with 19 touchdowns, 1 interception. And again, that 1 interception was against Kansas, the end of the first half on a Hail Mary. He's playing lights out football. This pass defense is so bad for West Virginia. JT Daniels would have to have a career game today to actually pull off the win. But I will tell you this, they're only getting 7.5. So that tells you Vegas thinks this game's going to be close. Again, it's an 11 o'clock game. I've got 11 games I'm giving out. I'm staying away from this one. I'm with you, though. I lean West Virginia, and I'd love to see the upset.
Ohio State is at Penn State, LT, number 2 at number 13. It has been a game, by and large, James Franklin has played close, but he's only won one of them, and they're catching more than 2 touchdowns. 14.5 is the number in this one as we speak.
Yeah, again, I brought this up yesterday. James Franklin has coached in 10 games at Penn State against top 5 teams. He's 1-9, and we talked about that 2016 fluky game that Penn State was able to have the block kick, return, scoop, and score for a touchdown. CJ Stroud led the FBS and QBR last year. He's leading the FBS and QBR again this year. I told you guys this. I thought one of the more amazing stats I came across this week was Marvin Harrison Jr. has 10 touchdowns through 7 games. His dad in his entire Syracuse career never had more than 10 touchdowns on a season. This offense is legitimate. I just don't know how Penn State hangs with them. I mean, I can't see Sean Clifford going out there and dueling, toe-to-toe with C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I know Smith and Jigba, and that hamstring continued to keep him out, so they made that call. He's not going to play again today, it looks like. And you just start wondering how much is he going to be able to play down the stretch. Maybe he's pulling a George Pickens, and we'll only see him in the Big Ten championship game in the postseason. I feel like Ohio State and Georgia, a game we'll talk about later, the 2 top teams who are playing today, I feel like they have easy wins in these games where a lot of people are expecting close games, huge numbers. I expect we see why Ohio State is being considered by most to be the most complete team in football today.
Yeah, as Pete Thamel reported, like Jim was saying, Smith and Jigma did not even make the trip. He's in Columbus. So You do wonder if we've seen the last of him, or maybe
It's
maybe he's back
strange.
for the playoffs.
They came out earlier this week, Brown, and they said that he was going to be on a so-called pitch count, that he was probably going to play 20 to 25 plays. And I really don't know what's going on, but I think it shows you in Ryan Day's offense, it's just, plug and play. Whoever's out there, I mean, these guys are, they're going to put up points.
Yeah, he came out early against Iowa, tweaked it again, went to the sideline, never saw him again. So who knows with him? It's an enigma. ABC on the 11 o'clock window.
It's yeah.
Smith enigma.
Smith in Jigba.
11 o'clock Dunaway, ABC, Notre Dame. That would have been a great headline. Jackson Smith enigma. We don't see him. Notre Dame at number 16, Syracuse. The Cuse at home, laying 1.5 against the Fighting Irish.
I think last week, in my belief, it took a lot out of the Syracuse team down the stretch, and Garrett Schrader was banged around. There's no injury report on him, but he gave it his all, and maybe a little too much late. I think they got away from their game plan a little bit. They didn't get the running back enough touches late in that football game. Schrader took too much on, and I think the disappointment of losing last week carries over this to a Notre Dame team that has some really high moments. I expect this to be a really, really, really close game, but I think Notre Dame gets the win against Syracuse. It just feels like a tough place for Syracuse to come down and get back to their A game this week to me.
Syracuse 6-1 against the number this year. I mean, they've been fantastic, including the cover last week. This is the first meeting since 1961 where Syracuse is ranked, Notre Dame is not ranked. But I agree with you, that emotional toll that game took last week, and Sean Tucker to not get the ball down the stretch made zero sense. And Garrett Schrader was so good in his first 5 games, only 1 pick. Last 2 games, he's thrown 3 picks. Too many penalties, turnovers. I like Notre Dame. They've won 4 or 5 after starting the season 0-2. I didn't give this out. I've got 11 plays again at lanceslog.com. I wanted to play Notre Dame plus the 2.5. I think they're the better team, but it's an 11 o'clock game, so I stayed away.
I just find this game interesting. I had it in my pick 3. Neither of these teams are ranked, but it is a name brand. Oklahoma at Iowa State, Dunaway, 11 o'clock FS1 game. Oklahoma minus the 1.5 in Ames.
Yeah, that is a point spread that makes no sense to me. This is not Iowa State from 3 or 4 years ago where you think maybe they could win the Big 12 championship, and Oklahoma has some offensive weapons and stuff. To see that line, it makes me think Iowa State has a fighting chance here, because LT, that looks so easy with Oklahoma's offense and Iowa State's lack of offense. That is only a point and a half. I like the Sooners in this one, and I like the Sooners big, but I wouldn't bet any money on it because something's telling me somebody knows something that I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of like Iowa State here. I mean, who's the better team, Texas or Oklahoma?
Texas.
Well, you guys remember Texas should have lost to Iowa State just 3 weeks ago.
That's a good point. I think Oklahoma's gotten a little bit better now. Oklahoma's playing their backup in that game too, Lance.
Yeah, and I mean, that's true. I mean, Dylan Gabriel is a huge upgrade, but I will tell you, man, Iowa State's just kind of the Kentucky of the Big 12.
Yeah,
they're
good.
Right. It's not fun football to watch, but they're always in every game.
All right. Also in the 11 o'clock window, we'll make an official pick on this at the end. LT, we'll start with you. 11 o'clock SEC Network. Auburn is hosting Arkansas. As we talk right now, Auburn catching 3.5 at Jordan-Hare from the Hogs. I think all of us have agreed this has been a difficult game all week to try to handicap because you just don't really know what you're going to get out of either team right now.
Yeah, I think the better team is Arkansas. But with that said, they're 13th in the SEC in scoring defense, giving up almost 33 points per game. You look at Brian Harsin over his entire career, coming off a bye, he's 9-1. This Auburn team's won 6 straight over Arkansas. With all that said, man, the thing that I continue to come back to is how good Arkansas is running the football. With Raheem Sanders, KJ Jefferson, they're 9th in the FBS. They're averaging 240 yards per game. And Auburn against Power Fives, they're giving up 260 yards per game and 18 rushing touchdowns. It's just a bad formula. We'll know a lot about Brian Harsin and where this team is with Brian Harsin and coming off this bye to see how they play today. I'm fascinated by this game. I stayed away from it. I probably would have taken Auburn plus the 3.5. I've just got this weird feeling like you guys do that they win this game. But I do think Arkansas is a better team, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, there are these everybody who tries to pick games have these formulas they look at, right? Whatever your trend and angle or this and that, the one I use, which you gave me a great 2-32 during March Madness out in Las Vegas, 32 losses. Everything I look at points Auburn, except the fact that I watch football all year long, and everything Arkansas does right is what Auburn struggles to do. So I everything that says Jim pick Auburn, but I watch with my own two eyes. So I take Arkansas today, and I take it because they can run the football, and they seem to have a little fire about this game. I mean, all week long in Fayetteville, every interview has been about how big this team is to Arkansas, and what LT just says. What is the want to in Auburn today? We'll find out here at 11 o'clock. Friends are down there at Jordan Hare tailgating already. They say the atmosphere is good. We'll see what it's like inside Jordan Hare in a few minutes, but I like Arkansas.
All right, halfway through the Johnston RV Center Saturday preview, johnstonrvcenter.com, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 indicator. They're cleaning out the 22s to make room for the 23s, which means you save big at Johnston RV Center. Just great people. You can trust them. Great to deal with in both Coleman and Decatur, I-65, exit 304 and 334, always online, johnstonrvcenter.com. Also thanks to Sterling and the great crew at Champy's, world-famous fried chicken, who will keep you fed this college football Saturday. From their chicken fingers to po' boys, the Mississippi Delta tamales, great sides, great desserts, all right there at Champy's, world-famous fried chicken. Hit up the Next Round store, nextround.store. Check out that golf card, 5 courses, 18 holes in card, just $99. It's a $271 value for $99. Great Christmas idea for that golfer in your life. Nextround.store for those. They will sell out soon, so you best hurry and get on those right now. Also, you can upgrade to the deluxe and get a T-shirt, exclusive T-shirt, some tees, and a koozie. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed and set your alerts. Also, retweet us and like us there on Twitter. Share us on Facebook and like us on Twitch. 2:30 window, Dunaway, Illinois at Nebraska. The Illini, a 7.5-point favorite in Lincoln. They're on ABC.
There's 3 home dogs that I like today. And I don't know why I keep saying the home dogs that I like today. Everybody knows I suck at picking, but I like West Virginia, I like Nebraska, and I like California. I don't know why I like any of them. Just that weird right before Halloween feeling. Nebraska playing for their coach, they seem to be really bought into Mickey Joseph. He's getting some traction on the recruiting trail. He won't be the head coach. So they're looking for wins. And I just go back to do factor on all these games. TCU's been so close. Oregon and California, I just think it's eventually Bo Nix is going to have a flat game. I think it's going to be today. And then at some point, Illinois is going to be Illinois. Brett Bielema is going to be Brett Bielema. And I think it's today. I like Nebraska to pull the upset, win this one outright.
I will take Illinois right now minus the 7 for a stake.
7.5, I believe it is, right? 7.5.
That's what I've got it at, 7.5. Yeah,
7.5. So I will go 7.5, and I'll take Nebraska for a stake.
Yeah, I kind of like Nebraska this week until I really started to break this down. And Illinois is a good team. I mean, I know they haven't really played anybody, but Chase Brown is the real deal at running back. DeVito has played well at quarterback. I mean, it was like a perfect situation for Syracuse getting Schrader, DeVito transferring out. Bielema can coach. And this Nebraska team's just not good. I mean, they're 4-11 against the number as a home dog the last 10 seasons. They've lost 19 consecutive games against ranked teams. And this Illinois defense, man, they are the only team in the FBS to allow fewer than 30 points combined in the second half this year. They make adjustments. They shut it down. And I just don't see Nebraska's offense doing anything against the Illini today.
Oh, I always wish we have that red flag, Brown. Brett Bielema can coach. Did we say Brett Bielema could coach at Arkansas? I don't know if we did or not.
I did. That's a tough job. I mean, he averaged 8 wins a year there. Arkansas needs to realize, it was almost like what you have with David Cutcliffe at Ole Miss. You got to realize what you've got. And Arkansas is not a championship program. You might have a year every 20 years or so. Brett Bielema was incredible at Wisconsin. He won multiple Big Ten championships.
Yeah, at Wisconsin. Was he at Arkansas, though? And can he be at Illinois? I think we're baking
Illinois
that
is the
cake.
toughest job he's ever had.
Oh, it is. But I think we're baking the cake on how good Illinois is, and we're pulling it out of the oven a little too soon here with the schedule they play. I like Nebraska today.
One day when we're printing money with Double Down Media and Next Round Live, Dunaway, we're going to hire, you know how at the end of PTI they do their corrections? We're just going to hire
Yes.
one person. And all they got to do is keep up with all the things we say. And we can go to the end of the show and they can come back and say, oh, wait a minute. 8 years ago, you said you didn't think Bielema could coach. We'll have that guy one day.
Exactly.
Could be a
one
girl.
day,
I don't know. It's, maybe not a guy. Could be a girl. It doesn't matter what the gender is in that job. All right, let's go to Wake and Louisville. I know LT likes Louisville, Dunaway. I mean, it was all over the place. It's in his headline. It was his upset alert. It was his pick 3. He loves him some Louisville. Dunaway, 2:30 ACC Network, number 10, Wake at Louisville. Wake laying 3.5 in this one.
Well, I mean, Scott Satterfield is one of those guys we said could not coach. He was on his way to being fired early on, and he's rallied this team. They're 4-3 now. I agree with LT. I like Louisville at home today. That number is that number for a reason. It'll be a good atmosphere in Louisville when they play. I think it's the ACC Network at 2:30. So
yep.
I'm with LT on this one. I'm writing lanceslock.com. I'm writing the Cardinal.
Yeah, I like Louisville a lot. I think they win this game. And look, I love Sam Hartman. I've been a huge Dave Clawson fan for years. I think he does a tremendous job there. Louisville's lost 15 of 17 to ranked teams, and it's really interesting. They're looking for their first 3-game winning streak since 2016 with Lamar Jackson. And that's hard to believe. You know, I always consider Louisville as one of those really good not elite programs, but just really good top tier programs. Yeah. And Scott Satterfield just hasn't gotten them there, but I do like them today. I think Malik Cunningham plays extremely well. And as good as Hartman is, and Wake Forest being 6-1 against the number this year, I like Louisville, and I like them to win.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it comes down to what is Wake Forest's defense, and all the people who have scored points on Wake Forest. I think Malik Cunningham fits in to the mold that can make some problems for that Wake Forest defense. I'm not worried so much about Sam Hartman and them. I just don't think they'll be able to score enough against Louisville's defense to keep up with the Louisville offense today.
Jay says he is putting his resume in for that position. I feel like I need to warn you, Jay. I know our crew. Everybody's going to get pissed at you at some point. And I never said that. Every one of us will do it at some point. So just, you're going to need some thick skin for that gig. Dunaway, number 20, Cincinnati, plus a point. UCF, tight one here for Cincinnati. Gus laying points at home to a ranked team. Does that normally go well for Gus?
I don't know if it normally goes well from Gus, but we got a Gus performance the last 2 weeks, right? We got John Rice Plumlee, who set a record a couple of weeks ago as a UCF quarterback, scoring 1,000 touchdowns in one game. And then last week, he was equally as horrible against I believe it was East Carolina they lost to. And by the way, ECU, not so bad. Good win last night on the road by BYU in a fun game. I like UCF in this one. I think they were looking ahead a little bit last week when they laid a bit of an offensive dud against a really stingy ECU defense. Give me UCF to win this one outright. Gus Bus bounces back. John Rice Plumlee plays better in a really entertaining game today. UCF over Cincinnati.
I disagree. I'm sorry. I've got to plug my my laptop in here. I like you. I like Cincinnati. They've won 19 straight over American opponents. That's a record, by the way.
But yeah, I understand. But Cal Ripken didn't play one day eventually, too. Streaks come to an end.
But after that loss to Arkansas, 1 possession loss, by the way, they've won 6 consecutive games. And Luke Fickell can coach. I mean, that's just flat out. That's just what it is. And
Jay Cox, can Luke Fickell coach? Did Lance say that back when he was at Ohio State?
I'll take since we're throwing them out, I'll take Cincinnati for a steak right now.
Boom, okay, 2 steaks.
What's the point spread on that one? We go straight up on that one?
You got Central Florida minus the 1. So essentially you are straight up.
Minus 1 is straight up.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Let's take the straight up out. Let's go. Let's take the 1 out. Let's go straight up. All right, that gets us even, right? I'm up 2 stakes, and I'm giving you my 2 back right there. I'm taking underdog and the home favorite. So there you go.
All right. So we've got 2 stake bets so far. We'll recap those at the end of the show. Oregon is at Cal, also in that 2:30 window. Dunaway FS1. We talked a little bit about Bo Nix a moment ago. Oregon minus the 17.5. They're not likely to lose this game, but I gathered from you this week you think they may struggle a little bit just because Cal's a yucky, boring, quiet place to play.
I mean, we're all humans, right? And Oregon has, they opened against Georgia, laid an egg. and then they gradually got back into, being relevant. They should have lost the game at Washington State, where they played bad for like all the way till about midway fourth quarter, when they were down like 3 scores, and they rallied to win that game going away in the end. And so Oregon survived that, and then they laid down their best game to date last week against UCLA. And now this week, everyone's hyping Oregon, get back in the playoff race. Nix is talking about his time at Auburn. He's also talking about, if they had another shot at Georgia, he thinks they would beat Georgia, despite it being 49-3 the first time. All that sets up for you going on the road for a 12:30 local, 2:30 central kick out in Berkeley, where there'll be more people in the library that will be than in the football stadium. It all sets up for the Ducks to lay an egg and just win this one by like 14. Still win this by 2 touchdowns, and you still cover the game at 17.5. I like Cal in the points. Oregon wins, but Oregon is very, very vanilla and very just sludge in the mud kind of win for the Ducks.
I stayed away from this game, Brown. I kind of liked Cal earlier. I mean, you look at all the trends and or angles goes Cal's way. 4-0 against the number as a home dog since the start of 2020. 3-0 against the number as a double-digit dog since the start of last year. They're 14-4 as a dog since the start of 2019. But their offense is awful. I can't believe Bill Musgrave is still calling plays. Over their last 3 games, they're averaging 14 points per game offensively. And I just don't know how you keep up with Oregon's offense the way Bo Nix is playing right now.
All right, LT, stick with you here for this one. Oak State at Kansas State. This is my most fun game of the day. 2:30 Fox. I guess it's number 9 at number 22, and this is a 1.5. Kansas State laying a 1.5 to the number 9 team, Oak State. This all depends on who's starting quarterback at Kansas State, right?
Yeah, Will Howard played well last week in that loss. But, I think it is important if Adrian Martinez starts. And I think the most important thing is Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn has been so good at K-State, but over his last 2 games, he's only had 100 combined yards. And Chris Kleiman is 0-3 all-time against Gundy. We'll see if Adrian Martinez plays. I like K-State regardless. I know Oak State is 11-1-1 against the number in Big 12 play since the start of last year, which is the best coverage percentage in the Big 12. But Oklahoma State, kind of like TCU to me, they play all these emotional games, and I just think this one catches up with them. I like K-State at home.
If I had not already put a stake on Nebraska and Illinois, I would say if he lets me take away Nebraska, Illinois, and come back, I will take Oklahoma State. And
let's just play all 3.
I'm not playing 3. I'm down 2. I only want to go into Monday on this tricks or treat Monday. I want to go in worst case scenario even. I don't want to steal too many from you, which is why I put on my hoodie here so the cameras don't recognize my face, just in case I have to steal 2 from you. I'll keep the 2 I got.
Is that the Rock's logo, by the way, that you're wearing?
It is.
Who wears it better, you or the Rock?
Well, his looks more like this. Mine is more a concaved, very in like the one you find in the desert with no meat on the bone. No, I like the other side. I like Oklahoma State, healthy, well coached, better team, more rounded. I like Oklahoma State.
Cocktail party, 2:30 CBS. Florida is the road team, technically, if you care about things like that. Georgia will be in the home jerseys. They are number 1 in the nation, and they are laying 23.5. I know where LT is on this one. It was in his pick 3, Dunaway. Do you think Florida can get inside that 23.5 against the Dogs?
No words needed. I do not. I think this is a Georgia beat down today. Georgia getting closer to being healthy. Don't think Mitchell plays. Don't know if they need to throw the big Jalen Carter out there. May be saving both of those for next week against Tennessee. This is foot on the gas pedal. Time to hunt week for Georgia. They're to the good part of their schedule. No more sleepwalking. They blew Florida today because of their defense.
I agree. This is the largest spread ever against Florida in this rivalry. There was a day where Florida just completely dominated this, but I think Georgia way too much. Anthony Richardson, you can't trust him. 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions this year. I think they play from behind. I think he makes a ton of mistakes, and I think this is a ass whipping.
All right. So both of you on the Dogs. We have got about 15 minutes to go. JohnstonRVCenter.com. JohnstonRVCenter.com. They bring you the Saturday preview. I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. The fifth wheels, if you want to upgrade a fifth wheel, they got some great deals on those. A lot of great deals because they're cleaning out the 22s to make room for those 23s. So CMI 65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur. Always online, JohnstonRVCenter.com. Thank you to Champy's Chicken right there on 119 in Alabaster. World famous fried chicken, the chicken fingers, tamales, the Mississippi Delta tamales that are so good. Po' boys, all the great sides, great for your college football Saturdays. Also hit up Next Round Store. Nextround.store, get that golf card. It's an amazing value right now. Is the golf card Dunaway? It looks like your
state bet.
Like
I was
state
bet
okay.
light.
I like it. Nextround.store. Also, the fall collection is there. All new items at Nextround.store for you to buy. That golf card's a great Christmas idea. So are those fall items for the Next Round fan in your life. Nextround.store. Check both those out. That golf card, $99 for a $270 value. 5 courses, 18 holes, and card. Dunaway played one of those courses yesterday, the Meadows, also Limestone Springs, Cross Creek. Do you think Lance plugged his computer in properly, Dunaway?
I don't think so at this point. I really don't.
Cross Creek, Limestone Springs, Bentbrook, the newly designed Woodward Golf and Country Club, and who did I leave out? Cross Creek, Bentbrook, Limestone, Woodward, and the Meadows, the one you played, Dunaway.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, from 113 yards, one roll away from holing out. I hit probably the best pitch shot I've ever hit. Even the one that I holed in from about 100-something yards the other day at Bentbrook, another one of those courses. This was a better shot.
Right.
The other one was a little lucky that I went in. This one was a better shot and actually did what I thought it was going to do. And I thought I'd hold in. I needed the dots on that one. But the course, the course is in beautiful shape. The greens are so good right now, and they've already got a Next Round listener who already got their card and got their tee time.
Wow,
booked it ready to
that?
go. The first
That's
one,
quick.
she said, they got the first one on the books. Not hadn't played yet, but got the tee time coming.
We got those cards held quick, didn't we? How about that?
Yeah, so she's like, I was like, they're lying to you. They don't have the cards yet. And she's like, oh yeah, they do. They do.
Okay, all right. Dunaway, let's go to the night slate now. Kentucky, number 19 at number 3, Tennessee. The Vols at home, just laying 11.5 here. I think some might would have expected a little bigger line than that against a Kentucky team, but this is a top 20 Mark Stoops coach team.
Yeah, and listen, this if Tennessee starts out like they did against Alabama, Kentucky doesn't have the offense to come back. So to me, the first quarter is so huge, and then the first half becomes huge, that Kentucky always keeps this either with the lead, tied, or within a score, so they can continue to play at their pace in this game. And I'm not saying they're just going to grind it out like everyone else is, because I think Will Levis is talented enough to try to expose some of Tennessee's weaknesses at covering receivers. But they've got to control the ball a little bit. The best defense against Hendon Hooker may be the offense today, but they got to let Levis throw some, establish the run, open it up on the action, let Will Levis throw the ball, stay within the score, keep it even, or be the lead throughout the game, and Kentucky has a chance to win this one late. The fear would be if Tennessee comes out like they did against Alabama and gets an early lead and gets this thing out to 2 or 3 scores, and at that point I don't think Kentucky to stay with them. So for me, it's either Kentucky really, really close or an upset, or a Tennessee blowout. I don't think, just a mediocre game by Tennessee is what we'll see today. It'll either be really good Tennessee or a scary, scary day for Tennessee. Nothing comfortable. Really good or scary.
All right, back to Lance. He's back with us now. LT, do you feel the same?
So there's only 4 coaches since 2018 where their teams have averaged over 40 points per game and over 500 yards per game. Nick Saban, Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day, Josh Heupel. Guy can coach offense, but the problem is their defense is 130th against the pass. Will Levis, 372, 3 touchdowns last year. If Will Levis is legitimately a NFL franchise projected quarterback, this is a game he's got to show out. Chris Rodriguez is definitely a difference maker. He changes the dynamic of that offense. But I am really looking for Will Levis to completely ball out today. And I think this is going to be a really good game. I do. I didn't give it out. I stayed away from it. Kentucky's become one of those trendy picks. And I agree with you, Dunaway. I think it's either Tennessee comes out and they play like the number 3 team in college football. They win the game going away by 21. Or, as you say, Brown, Kentucky's able to muck it up. Will Levis plays extremely well, and Kentucky wins the game. I think it's one of the two.
LT, USC, are they safe at Arizona? They're laying 2 touchdowns here, 14.5. Number 10, USC, 6 o'clock, Pac-12 network. Nobody will get to see it, but are they safe, LT?
I will be watching because I've got my Pac-12 app now. Yeah, they're safe. They're 37-8 all-time against Arizona. The offense is way too much. I think Arizona will score some points here. Jordan Addison probably not going to play. So I think all of the heavy lifting goes to Travis Dye, the Oregon transfer. And I think Caleb Williams will play well. I think Dye will play well. I think this is I would be shocked if USC scores less than 50 points.
Woo! All right.
It sounds about right. I don't think there's any problem with USC in this one. And by the way, Kevin, it was hole 14 from the fairway there.
14 for Dunaway. UAB Dunaway at FAU. UAB minus 3.5. Can the Blazers get the win at Florida Atlantic today?
I don't know about this team. When I think they're going to be good, when they zig, they zag. When they're supposed to zag, they zig. But they're really good at home. They've been 0-3 on the road. They haven't won, so I don't know what you're going to get in this game. I wouldn't play this one if I was betting. I had to play it in my office pool, so I took FAU in it just because it's a road game. But I got no feel for this one, LT. I can't figure this team out. They're so talented on paper.
You know, N'Kosi Perry's we talked to Coach Vincent this week, and he's a really experienced quarterback. And Florida Atlantic is so different at home than they are on the road. And it comes down to UAB turning the football over. You know, if they can protect the football, I mean, who's starting quarterback today for UAB? Do you guys know?
Don't know.
Is it Hopkins? Is it Zeno?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Coach was keeping that close to the vest this week. Zeno, he has his moments, and we know he's got skill set. We saw it at Baylor. But Hopkins has been making that thing run pretty good. It's all about McBride. He'll get his. Now can he hold on to the football?
You know, I will tell you, putting my DraftKings lineup in, and I don't know if you noticed this, Dunaway, but for the nighttime games, yeah. Dwayne McBride is one of the most expensive players in all of DraftKings.
Yeah, 100%. I noticed that last night, and it's the first one we've done all year long where the UAB players have been an option.
Wow.
I didn't play him, by the way. Did you?
I'm not going to say it this time. I'm not giving you that competitive advantage. But my lineup is set. I'll tell you that much.
Mine too.
Just number 4, Michigan, minus 22.5, hosting Michigan State. Which side of this you on, Dunaway? Minus 22.5.
I'm on Michigan State to make it interesting for a while, but in the end, this Michigan football team is really, really good. And, I don't know if we ever said Jim Harbaugh couldn't coach or he could coach, but right now he looks like he's a good coach. He's got an identity. I love Blake Corum, and I think LT said it this week. JJ McCarthy is the difference in this team this year. When they have to pass, when they can't run in a moment in the game, they've got the ability to throw the football, and that's the difference between this year's team and last year's team. They've done a great job of replacing 2 NFL studs on the defensive line. It's a really good Michigan team. I hate to fast forward to week 13, but I can't wait for Michigan and Ohio State to play each other.
I mean, it's old school football, and the bottom line is Jim Harbaugh, although I think he's a complete weirdo, the guy can coach. And you talk about the edge guys last year that are now playing on Sundays. They still got 24 sacks. And they're allowing a QBR of just 29.9 this season, which is one of the best in college football. Blake Corum running the football, I think they're way too much. You go back to last year, the only game, and I think this is really personal for Harbaugh and Michigan, the only game they lost in the regular season last year was to Michigan State. One of the reasons, Kenneth Walker, 5 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker now playing really good football, could end up being your offensive rookie of the year with Seattle. They don't have Kenneth Walker, and this offense is so different than it was last year. And I don't think they can keep up with Michigan.
And there's been a lot of bad blood in this recruiting because of all the NIL money that Michigan State's put together. I think this game for Harbaugh today. It may be ugly early, but in the end, Harbaugh, when he finally gets his style of play established, took a little longer in Michigan than we thought it was going to, but he did it at Stanford. He did it with the 49ers. He wins championships when he's got his players, his system in place, and they've got that in place now in Ann Arbor.
All right, number 15, Ole Miss is at Texas A&M. Fascinating. 6:30 SEC Network kick. Ole Miss minus 2.5 there. was a report from Tom Hart last night, the play-by-play announcer for this game on the SEC Network, that Jimbo Fisher blew off their pregame meetings, which is unheard of. He came back later and said the coach did show up and thanked Texas A&M for that. So for a minute, he said that on Feinbaum's show yesterday. So for a minute, there was this, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Is Jimbo Fisher out? Is he negotiating or something like that? Looks like it was much ado about nothing. But this game itself, Dunaway, is a really interesting game with the Rebs laying 2.5 in College Station. I think A&M's got a pretty good track record at night there in College Station.
Yeah, and I think things happened in the situation yesterday. Jimbo Fisher didn't want to take the time to do it because he didn't want to talk to media people. He's just at that point. And then when Tom said that on Feinbaum, all the speculation started, and Texas A&M people went to Jimbo and said, hey, you've got to do this because you're now creating a narrative that is not true and making us look bad. So we'll set up this Zoom call, which is embarrassing that we have to do it on Zoom and you didn't do it in person. We'll set up the Zoom call with the broadcast crew. And very few people still saw the retweet from Hart that they actually did do the Zoom call later on. I even saw Brett earlier saying he skipped out on the interview. I think it was Jimbo being a baby and not wanting to do the interview, not wanting to take the time. I'm too busy. You little lowly TV people, I've got bigger fish to fry. And then you create this narrative where it looks like you're about to get fired or you're looking at another job and you're doing something else other than what you're supposed to be doing on Friday. So you do a little patchwork on the backside to set up this Zoom call. So another misstep by Jimbo and his PR team in College Station. Just stupidity stacked on stupidity there. Now to the game itself. Texas A&M at night at home is something I always like. Give me Texas A&M in this one with all the stupidity of Jimbo Fisher. They're a better team at night. It'll be juiced, and I like Texas A&M.
Well, I agree. I mean, Jimbo's got the brain. I guarantee if you had a debate with the Geico Gecko, it could out-debate Jimbo Fisher. He's got the brain of a reptile. I don't know some of the things he does. It's just amazing. But on the other side, Lane Kiffin's being a little immature too. And nothing says that Ole Miss should lose this game, but they will, if that makes any sense. A&M's only got 2 first-quarter touchdowns this season. That is the fewest in the Power 5. I mean, that's
crazy.
It really is, man. In today's football, that A&M offense is so difficult to watch. Like, I think Kentucky's got a better offense than A&M. But I think A&M will come to play today. I think A-Chain has a big game. And, again, I called this a couple of weeks ago. Ole Miss is about to come off the rails.
One thing to watch in this game, Brandon, I don't know this, but Brandon on YouTube says the Ole Miss boards think they could have up to 9 starters out today, including Evans. So keep an eye on that. That'd be a lot. One more game before we make our Auburn pick. Alabama, of course, on a bye this week. This is a really interesting 7 o'clock ACC network kick. North Carolina -3 hosting Pittsburgh. One of the best quarterbacks in the nation, Drake May, against one of the best defensive coaches, Pat Narduzzi, Dunaway. This will be a fun game. ACC network, 7 o'clock, maybe one of the better primetime games.
Yeah, Pitt's underachieved. North Carolina's hitting their stride. Nobody's better than May at quarterback. You get that line there, which flat out tells you that's going to be a stinker of a game. It'll be a tough game. And, I would take North Carolina, LT. I wouldn't put anything on it just because I like what May's able to do at quarterback and all the points they'll score. But I guess somebody in Vegas knows something. I do not feel comfortable about the Carolina Blue today.
Well, I'm going to give you a free winner here. Again, 11 picks up at Lance'sLog.com. I've got Pitt in this game. I think they win the game straight up. Slovis has not played well, but against this North Carolina defense, he will have he'll have a field day. He hasn't he's thrown a pick in 3 straight games. He hasn't posted a QBR above 50 since game 1. So he has not been good, but I think he'll play well. UNC has failed to cover each of its past 6 games following a bye. They're coming off the bye. I love Drake May, but the defense is garbage. I think it'll be a shootout, and I like Pittsburgh.
Wow. Well, it doesn't kill Carolina. They've got a 2-game lead in their division in the Coastal because that's an awful division. But it would take away any room for error for Carolina as it relates to them making the ACC championship game if they lose that one. All right, 2 things to do before we go. We're going to make our Auburn pick, and I'm going to get you all to reset the stake bets. Before we do that, take it to JohnstonRVCenter.com, I-65 exit 304 in Coleman, 334 in Decatur, always online, johnstonrvcenter.com, clearing out the 22s to make room for the 23s. So you save big there. Go check it out at Johnston RV Center. Also, thanks to Champy's, world famous fried chicken. Sterling in the gang there, getting that Saturday ready for you. Great watch party food is Champy's. Everything from the Mississippi Delta tamales to the chicken fingers, the po' boys, the sides, the desserts, all great there at Champy's, world famous fried chicken. Don't forget to hit nextround.store, nextround.store. Check out the golf cart and the fall line of clothing we have at nextround.store. All right, Dunaway, what are your two stake bets here?
I definitely have UCF straight up against Cincinnati, and I guess I have Nebraska and 7.5 at home against Illinois, unless he wants me to flip to Oklahoma State.
I don't know why you got to be such a poon. Why can't you play all three? You're up 2 stakes. I hand you stakes all the time.
Okay, I'll play all three. Give me Oklahoma State. How many points am I getting with Oklahoma State?
1.5.
I'm getting 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, Lance finally wore him down. Got him to 3 stake bets. So there we go. We got 3 stake bets on the line.
Hey, I got to ask you guys this. So a couple of things. Are we going to have a singer later? Do you guys want a singer?
I don't know. It depends on what time we do it. I don't know what time we're going to do the post game.
Well, here's my problem, and I'm not trying to be difficult. I have a birthday party from 2 to 4. And I can't believe, weddings are one thing on a fall afternoon. Birthday parties are another, but it's a really good friend of mine, so can't do much about it. So I've got to do that.
Her birthday was actually 2 days ago. So why are you having the birthday party in the middle of the day today?
I got nothing to do with it, but I feel obligated, and I love this person, so I'm going to show up. With that said, USC starts at 6. I really want to watch that game, and then I'm getting the Jake Paul fight tonight. He's fighting Anderson Silva. He is fighting a legitimate fighter now. He's an MMA guy, but Anderson Silva is 3-0 in his boxing career, and I am all in on this. By the way, free play Jake Paul. I don't know if he'll knock Silva out, but Jake Paul will win this fight. So I want to watch that fight. So my point is, I don't know when I can jump on.
Well, what time is the fight?
It's in Scottsdale. I would say with the undercards and everything, it'll go off about 10. So we can do like 9 to 10 if you guys want to do it.
No, Tennessee, Kentucky won't be done by then.
Not until about 9. Yeah, about 9:15, 9:30.
Yeah. We'll play it by ear.
Yeah. How about we do it and we'll text you, see when you can jump in.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. You can come and go. You can come and go.
Yeah, you can come and go. All right, Auburn pick. Let's do it real quick. Auburn pick. Dunaway, Auburn, catching 3.5 against Arkansas. Where are you going today?
I'm going to play Arkansas. I like the Hogs and a close one today.
Before you make your pick, LT, Jay says, unless Anderson Silva is coming out of a time machine, that fight will suck.
Jay says that, and Anderson Silva is 47. So, Jake's got 20 years on him, but still, man, 47-year-old grown man like that. And I don't know, I know you guys aren't big UFC guys, but back in the day, Anderson Silva was the best in the business for a good 2 years. And he's a striker, man. So this is, whatever you want to say about a 47-year-old, this is the most competitive fight Jake Paul has had up until this point.
Yeah, but this is a Jake Paul joint, right? He put the fight together. It's his money, his dime there. It's his show. Of course he's going to win, right? If it's goes to the card, the guy who's paying the bills is going to win, right? Jake Paul.
Yeah, but again, man, I mean, both of these guys have complete knockout power, and Silva's not going into this fight to lose. He's trying to reinvent himself as a boxer, not a UFC guy. So this is an ultra important fight, I think, for both guys. Again, I think Paul wins. I mean, he's minus 220 now, so he's a pretty heavy favorite.
I just feel like you've bought wrestling. Basically, this is a souped up version of wrestling that Jake Paul is a show. And
Brandon says, not sure if y'all can do this legally, but it'd be great to watch y'all watch a game live with some drinks. We actually are going to do that. It's going to be a Monday Night Football game. We cannot. You won't see the game, but you'll see us watch the game. So stay tuned for that, Brandon. Actually, we are doing that coming up in that's December, right? When we're doing that.
Yeah.
Was he talking about legally being able to drink or watch the game?
No, I think watch the game. Yeah.
Okay. We can watch the game, but like the Manning cast, they are able to show the game and clip back and forth from us, the actual game action and us, and we can't do that because we don't own the rights to the game. So we will be watching the game when we do it. but you can't see any of the action. It'll be very Barstool-esque, like Barstool does it, but not like the Manning cast.
All right, LT, the Auburn game, Auburn plus 3.5 at home. Where are you going?
I think I'm going to play Auburn. Again, there's no rhyme or reason. Harsin 9-1 in his career coming off a bye. They've won 6 consecutive games over Arkansas. I don't know how they're going to stop the run. Tank Bigsby's going to need a massive game, but I lean Auburn here.
Well, why don't we put a stake on it?
I'll take Auburn plus 3.5.
3.5. All my indicators say Auburn 3.5, but I'll do it, LT. Let's go. Put a fourth.
All right,
one on
4. We got 4. Dunaway wanted to stop at 2. We've doubled that. Yeah.
Wow.
4 stakes. Yeah.
Still giddy from yesterday.
Yeah, I think I like Arkansas here. Auburn doesn't. Everybody runs on Auburn, and Arkansas runs well. It's just I don't know. None
We'll
of
know
this
early. If Arkansas gets up, this game's over.
Yep. All right, that's going to do it. As you can tell, we have no clue when the postgame show is going to be. Could be any time from now until Sunday morning, 3 a.m. So make sure you've set your alerts and follow us on social media so you'll know when we're going live at Next Round Live, Thanks to JohnstonRVCenter.com, Champy's World Famous Fried Chicken. Thumbs this up, retweet it, share it on Facebook, subscribe, set alerts. We'll see you guys after the games tonight right here.
Hey,
enjoy your football Saturday.
Hey, real quick, can you tell me what I've bet on here? Am I
do that after it's all ended? Good night, everybody.